That's a win. J.D. Power has ranked AAA #1 for auto insurance customer satisfaction in the Southwest 2 years running. Get a quote at AAA.com/quote. Visit JDPower.com for details.
Have you tried my Colombian tamales?
Yes, but the Mexican tamales I brought are way better.
Colombian tamales wrapped in plantain leaves are unmatched, you know.
But the Mexican tamales wrapped in corn husks are the authentic ones.
At least we can agree that they taste better with Pepsi.
Without a doubt, tamales deserve Pepsi. No matter what tamales you love, enter for a chance to win a year's worth of groceries. Powered by Pepsi. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or over. Ends April 5th, 2026. Rules at PepsiPromo.com/free groceries. Pepsi is a registered trademark of PepsiCo.
Meineke always treats your car like it's their own. With over 50 years of experience, Meineke's certified technicians will diagnose and fix any issue with precision and care. Schedule an appointment at Meineke.com. Trust your key with Meineke. Meineke, doing car care right.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
Welcome in the Thursday edition of the lunch break. My name is Evan Reiser. I'm filling in for Chris Schubert. Chris is just a tad under the weather today. So on this opening day, on what is one of the better days in all of sports, it is the producer of the program, producer Evan, filling in. And I just want to get into it because what an exciting day for everybody who loves sports. It's the opening day. It's the Sweet 16. And we will start with the baseball team.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
The D-backs start their season tonight, and they do it in L.A. as they have a date with the Dodgers and Yoshinobu Yamamoto to start the season tonight for the D-backs. It will be Zach Gallen. And I think opening day is so awesome because in baseball, and really in any sport, but in baseball specifically, opening day has this kind of magical feeling to it. And I think it doesn't carry over as well in football or as well in NBA's opening night or the NHL's opening night. Baseball just has this magic to opening day. And I think it's maybe because of the grind of the season, the 162, or it's because of the festivities that go along with opening day, or it could be the start of spring because everybody loves getting out of winter. But opening day brings a magic to it. And it's because of the hope is where it really lies. And for the D-backs, I think there's a lot of hope this season. And I'm not calling and saying, oh, this is what it was in 24 or 25, because I know the roster is slightly different and probably slightly worse. And there are major concerns. Heck, I've been the person to put my hand up and say, I have major concerns with the bullpen. I have major concerns with the starting pitching staff. But the one thing I know they can do is score runs. This is a roster who year in and year out is going to have 3 legitimate MVP candidates at the top of their lineup. Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo, Corbin Carroll, even off a handmade injury, are 3 guys that are consistently going to be in Major League Baseball's MVP, National League MVP conversations. I mean, I think there's a belief that people think Corbin Carroll is going to finish top 3 in MVP this year. We'll see how his power lies. I think in spring, there was a lot of good signs. Obviously, hitting a ball 113.6, hitting a ball 110, hit a ball 111, had a couple homers, right? Like, there was good signs with Corbin Carroll. The first homer he hit in spring, like, it was hard not to sit down and say, okay, let's pump the brakes. Let's calm down a little. I think we can be okay here. And I'm sporting my Phillies hat here on opening day for those that can see me on the YouTube. By the way, if you're listening to the program and want to watch it, you can head over to the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube chat. I would love to hear what you guys got to say about the D-back season. We're going to get into some Cardinals today. Always don't be afraid to give us a call, 480-864-1060. You want to give us your thoughts. You want to give us your predictions on the Diamondback season. I would love to get some predictions in here. Would love to hear what you have to think about the Cardinals offseason. We're going to get into that today as well. But circling back to opening day brings a hope. And I think there is hope to be had with this Diamondbacks team. And that's really where I wanted to start the program. Because I have personally been on this program. I'm on it every day. Me and Chris talk about what we think about this baseball team. And I think I've probably been the one that's been slightly more negative. I've been the one that says, hey, they don't have a lefty in the bullpen. That's a problem. I've been the one to say, hey, I don't think that they addressed the bullpen enough. And yeah, they threw darts at a dartboard with Jonathan Loaizaga, with Paul Sewald. Paul Sewald is seemingly going to start the season as the closer. So if they get in a save situation tonight, I expect to see Sewald come into the game. But that's what this team is. That's what this team's going to be. It's going to be a team that can score a lot of runs, especially with the heavy part of their lineup. I didn't know about some of their offseason moves when they went out and they brought in Carlos Santana. Great defensively. But is the bat still there? And then it's the same question on the other side of the diamond. What a great move to bring in Nolan Arenado defensively. And we all thought it was going to be followed with something. And it was. Not too long after, they moved Blaze Alexander and picked up Cade Stroud. But I thought this team needed an outfielder. And I think it was Alec Thomas's good spring, good WBC, which, you know, we all know I'm very skeptical of. I don't know if I'm the biggest Alec Thomas fan on the program. But it was a good spring, and it was a good WBC, so he cements his role in center field. Jordan Lawler, who I think has had a spectacular spring, is finally looking to get over that hump. And then Ryan Walshman, who's going to start the year in AAA. He's not going to start the year with the big league team. But I don't think it's long before we see him. I think we're talking about end of May, start of June. You can start to see Ryan Walshman be a key and pivotal member of this baseball team. So that's where the question lies. What can you get out of Carlos Santana? What can you get out of Nolan Arenado? About Jordan Lawler in left, Alec Thomas in center. There's a lot of what ifs with this baseball team. And that's why I circled the word hope. Because they're not the Dodgers. They're not the Cubs. They're not the Mets or the Phillies. Or they're not a top four, maybe not a top five team in the National League. But can they be the sixth best team? Maybe. Can they win the sixth most games and get into the playoffs? It's possible. So I think this season can go any way. I think they could win 75 games, and I wouldn't be surprised because of their flaws. They could win 85. I certainly wouldn't be surprised. They could win 88. And maybe I would be like, wow, what a great season. But I wouldn't be surprised like I am with the Suns and them being over 40 wins to this point. I don't think that surprise feeling you'll have that you had for the Phoenix Suns and what they were able to do this season and how they started off. We're not going to get into the Suns on today's program because they got a couple off days before they take on the Jazz on Saturday. But there's a lot of hope for the D-back season. And I think that lies in just the reality that they could be as low as a mid-70s win team, as high as a high 80s win team. And I that's why I love opening day. And they're going to get a first test. Like, they're going to play the back-to-back world champions against their best arm tonight. And we're going to get into what I think tonight's start can mean for Zach Gallen and what I need to see from Zach Gallen for the year. But this is the type of game that can build confidence right out of the gate. And I'm not putting too much stock in one game or the first game of 162. But I've always been the person to hate it's early. Because whether it's game 1 of 162 or game 162 of 162, it all counts the same. And so I get it. Today, there's going to be the people that say it's early. It is. Obviously, it's game number 1, but I hate that. 2 years ago, you didn't make the playoffs because of a tiebreaker. Last year, you were just a few games out and in it till the very end. The it's early narrative doesn't work. Not for this baseball team. Because it has worked for teams in the past. It's worked for some of the best teams in baseball. I get it. Some of the teams that have won world championships, I know. This team's going to need every win. And they're going to get reinforcements halfway through the season. You're going to see Corbin Burns come back. You're going to see AJ Puck come back. Hopefully you can get J Mart back in September, right? Like all the way towards the end. Chris and I have highlighted the first 60 games of this season for the Diamondbacks and said, how much damage can you do in 60? It's a really hard start for them. It's a really difficult start to the season for the Diamondbacks. But if you can get through this 60-game stretch, these first 2 months, this end of March, the month of April, and the month of May, if you can get through that two-month stretch, 2.5-month stretch, whatever you want to call it, you're in a great position. And you just need to be 500. 500 or better. And I know people in the YouTube chat have been letting me know not only all week, but pretty much all offseason. And I'm sure our guy Brian from Chandler will jump in, John or Michael. It's all code. All let me know. How many games can this team actually be over 500? I think it's a fair point. Maybe you don't have the pitching or the starting that can go deep. Maybe you don't have the bullpen. You're going to blow leads. That's going to happen. But can you play better situational baseball than you did last year? This team got thrown out at home a ridiculous amount. And I don't know the number, and they moved on from the third base coach, and they did that halfway through the season, but they got thrown out at home an absurd amount last year. It's situational stuff like that this team needs to be better at. It's going to the right reliever. And listen, I think it's a complete mismanagement of the roster and of the offseason to not have a left-handed reliever in the bullpen. I really do. I think in the division you play in, but across baseball, like I'm watching Pirates, Mets, watching that game this morning. And by the way, what a start to that game. A 5-run first inning for the Mets. They took Skeens out of the game in the first. The Pirates were able to put up 2 on a home run from Brandon Lau and his first swing as a Pittsburgh Pirate. So what a start we are off to here on opening day. But a guy like O'Neal Cruz, who's going to lead off for the Pirates, a guy like Brandon Lau, who's going to hit second. By the way, we just got our first ABS challenge system in this game. Call overturned for a strike. He got a strikeout on a 3-2 pitch. But that's what I'm talking about. How are you going to get those guys out? And I'm circling the Pirates. But it's in division too. It's Rafael Devers. It's Kyle Tucker. It's Freddie Freeman. It's Shohei Ohtani. Like all those guys, you're not going to be able to go lefty-lefty on them. It was an interesting move. It was certainly a merit-based move. It was our best relievers made the team. So long story short, happy opening day, everybody. Kind of ran through some of my concerns about the Diamondbacks, how I feel good about the Diamondbacks. No way, Brandon Lau went deep again. 5-3. But we circled it all together. Happy opening day, everybody. There's a lot of hope around this team. And let's not forget that. It's game number 1 tonight. It is a night game to start. It is a 5:30 local time start for the Diamondbacks. Zach Gallen versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And we will see how it goes. We are underway in the Major League Baseball season. As one off season comes to an end. The other one motors on. And has it been a better offseason than we think for the Cardinals? We'll get into that next here on the lunch break on KDUS AM 1060.
KDUS AM 1060 is your home for the Jim Rome Show.
I'm not here to bury Mike Tomlin, but the fact is, this absolutely is the right move. He did the right thing, and he fired himself. All good things come to an end. Going a decade without winning a single playoff game is not meeting the standard.
The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, here on KDUS AM 1060. Online at KDUS1060.com and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Chicago Sticks, the Windy Cities Tour. Finally, two iconic bands together for the first time. September 1st, Mortgage Matchup Center. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Chicago and Sticks. All the hits, your kind of tour.
Hey, it's Bodie and Victoria, owners of newacunit.com, where homeowners save 50% off or more on new AC units.
You're probably wondering, if I buy a new AC unit online, who's coming to install it?
Or am I about to get upsold once they show up?
Those are fair questions.
At newacunit.com, we only use hand-selected, top-rated installers.
And the price you see online, that's the price. No surprises.
Get your price in minutes at newacunit.com.
Save thousands, save time, buy online, newacunit.com.
At Raising Cane's, we hand batter every chicken finger, mix every cane sauce, butter every Texas toast, stir every slaw, and salt every fry. Because when you do it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
When I was a kid, my dream wasn't a mansion. It wasn't a yacht. It was a 250cc Kawasaki dirt bike sitting in the garage. That garage and that bike represented freedom. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello. At A1 Garage Door Service, we know your garage holds more than tools. It holds dreams. From repairs to upgrades, call A1 Garage Door Service today or schedule online at a1garage.com.
A1 from day one. For nearly 25 years, Primavera has helped thousands of Arizona students succeed with an accredited world-class education, tuition-free and from home. Don't wait. Enroll today at chooseprimavera.com. That's chooseprimavera.com.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. In a surprise to absolutely no one, North Carolina has fired head basketball coach Hubert Davis. Davis did issue a statement making sure everybody knew that he was in fact fired and wanted to continue on. Thanks for clearing that up, my man. In case there's any confusion on your end, they did not want you back. Hate to see one of their own kicked to the curb like that, but that's exactly what happened. So we can stop with this nonsense about them looking to keep their next hire in the family. Yeah, because that worked out so well. Then they'll make all this noise about all these splashy candidates only to realize that they can't afford them because the basketball school there has a football coach stealing all their dough down the hall. Just as they'll realize that Carolina is no longer the best job in college basketball and that Hubert did not lead that place any better than he found it. They can't afford to butcher this hire. Too bad they can't afford to get who they want. I'm Jim Rome. And remember, you can always follow me on Instagram at Jim Rome.
Need parts fast? Need them now? O'Reilly is fast. Just one part that makes O'Reilly Auto Parts stand apart. Right now at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts, you can get one free set of brake pads when you buy 2 qualifying brake rotors. Ask the professional parts people about additional brake pad and rotor upgrade options available at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
America, look around. Everywhere you go, prices are still high, rates have been whipsawing markets, and the debt and spending don't exactly scream stability. Experts say diversifying with intention is the #1 secret account that all American smart money uses to hedge against instability. Monetary Gold has been around since 2000, witnessing multiple economic setbacks. If you call now, Monetary Gold will cover up to a lifetime of your IRA fees on qualified accounts. Call Monetary Gold now at 877-NOW-GOLD. That's 877-NOW-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Beerstein.
People that haven't watched college basketball would say that there was no real Cinderella team. It's Iowa. You know why? Because Iowa isn't even Iowa. They're the Drake Bulldogs, the 30-plus win team, and they were coached by Ben McCullum. And McCullum got a job this year as the Iowa head coach. And you know what Ben McCullum did? He brought over 5 guys from Drake. 4 leading scorers or top 3 scorers are from Drake. Iowa is your Cinderella story.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m.
Welcome back in. It's the Thursday edition of the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Don't be afraid to give us a call. 480-864-1060 is the number. If you want to talk anything about Major League Baseball's opening day, you want to talk about the D-backs and what your thoughts are for their season and everything they have to do, if they're going to be in it in the next 60 games, can they be relevant by the trade deadline in order to make some moves? Can they be relevant when they get the reinforcements back? You let us know. 480-864-1060 is the phone number. And if you would like to talk about the Cardinals and their offseason, because I think on this show we've been pretty, let's not sugarcoat it, we've been pretty aggressive towards the Cardinals offseason and where I think that they failed in a lot of ways. But it was yesterday when I was reading an article by Ben Solak over at ESPN and free agency class rankings, right? A simple, we're going to go through every 1 through 32 teams. We're going to rank the free agency classes and, you know, what they did, what we liked, what we didn't like. And so I'm scrolling through this and, you know, I'm starting at 1 and I got to tell you, I was really surprised to see the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 1. But you're scrolling through and you look at it and you're like, hey, those teams did have a good offseason. You get to 10 and I'm thinking, where am I going to see here the Arizona Cardinals? And finally, I see them at 16. And I got to tell you, that's higher than I thought. Because a team that jumped out of the gates really hot, and the team obviously everybody on this program knows I've kind of grown to be a fan of, is the Carolina Panthers. And they went out and got what is probably a top 3 edge rusher in free agency this year in Jalen Phillips. Went out and got Devin Lloyd, Rasheed Walker. Right? Like they made moves. Cardinals one spot ahead of them at 16. And while we don't think we did a lot, I think some of the experts think the Cardinals did more than what we on this show said would improve the team in 2026. So I want to get into what they had to say and what Ben Solak had written. Key acquisitions and returning players for the Cardinals: Isaac Seumalo, Tyler Algier, Gardner Minshew, Kendrick Bourne, Roy Lopez. What I loved, the mid-level deals. The Cardinals got solid value for Seumalo, who is better player than higher paid free agents guards like Ed Ingram or Zion Johnson. He is just older, turning 33 in October, and thereby less attractive on the open market. And although I'm surprised the Cardinals pursued Algier when his skill set is fairly redundant to James Conner, they got a good player on an affordable contract. I think those things are true. I think all offseason, Chris and I have talked about the things we loved in their offseason. Tyler Algier, who's a guy we talked about before the offseason and before free agency started. And Isaac Seumalo was a guy I really wanted and thought would be a good fit for this team. You got Seumalo on a good deal because you're right. He is 33 or 32, turning 33. He's going to be 33 by the time we get midway through the season. Those are the facts. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about those things. But at the end of the day, they were able to get 2 solid contracts. And so those were 2 deals I liked. What I didn't love from Ben Solak, the plan at quarterback, period. I guess the Cardinals checked in on Malik Willis, but were unwilling to pay him a contract as large as the Dolphins offer. A fair and prudent choice. But I sure wish there was a plan B somewhere between Willis and signing Minshew to compete with Jacoby Brissett. What is it? 2021? The Cardinals are at least still able to draft a middle-round quarterback or trade for a young passer before camp, which would improve their stock here. Everything he said there is very true. And I think having them at 16, to me, still feels too high. Because as I read this little blurb this morning, how can you put them at 16 when the first line of what I didn't love is the plan at quarterback, period? The most important position in all of sports. We don't know the plan. And it doesn't look like they're playing to compete this year. And while I like the Sayamalu move and while I like the Algier move, they'll be here next year in 2027. So, yeah, I think there's two schools of thought when you look at this offseason. They signed a lot of mid-level contracts. They're going to have a lot of cap carryover. There'll be a spender next offseason when they bring in what is a young quarterback or the next starter of this organization. Or you can look at it as this is a team that did not do much in their pursuit of being relevant in 2026 and left holes on this roster that we knew they had to address. 2 years ago, they let this offense stand pat, didn't make any changes, and it went poorly. And this year, in a year in which we knew there was going to be a quarterback change, we knew Kyler Murray was going to be gone. They didn't really make a move there. And they brought in Jacoby Brissett, but was he really the plan B, or did you drop down to plan C? Were you not that attractive for Jimmy Garoppolo, honestly? And so you have now a young head coach who's going to walk into this year with a roster that's lackluster. So I get it. I get why they're 16. It's playing for the future. It's the financial moves. It's the right decisions. But I'm not going to get excited about a rebuild. I'm not going to get excited about a retool. Because how can you? They've been put in this spot before. It failed 3 years ago. And they didn't move on from the general manager who I thought maybe 3 years ago was savvy and moved up and down the draft board and we could get excited about, but has not drafted a Pro Bowler. A guy who has not done a nice job bringing in free agents other than Josh Sweat, who had 12 sacks last year. But who else have they brought in that's made an impact? We're going to let that guy choose the next quarterback of this organization? So I get it. 16, the move's in a vacuum. It makes sense. But you have to look at this from a 30,000-foot view. And looking at it from that view, you see a general manager who may be in over his head. And while he's made the right moves to start a rebuild, it is what it is. It's starting a rebuild without a quarterback, in which it feels like they don't have a plan. Because even if they are the fourth worst team in all of football next year, is there going to be a guy at 4 they love? Or are they going to have to trade up? And the other guy we've talked about is Ty Simpson. So we'll see. Are they even in a position to draft Ty Simpson? There are major question marks when it comes to the Cardinals offseason. But as negative as we have been here in town, the national media doesn't look at it that way. ESPN ranked them right in the middle of the league. And there's been a plethora of other articles that have them in the top 15 of offseason. Top half of the league for most of the articles I've read about what the Cardinals offseason looks like. I used ESPN's because I thought Ben Solak had some good points. And I thought his What I Didn't Love proves that they can't be 16. But from the moves they actually made, not the moves they didn't. From the moves they actually made, they make a lot of sense and people like them. So I'm not asking you to be excited about the Cardinals offseason because I don't think it garners much excitement at all. But I'm saying if we look at each move individually, can we find what we really like? And John says Cardinals will always suck. I understand that opinion. I get it. And entering another rebuild just 3 years after the last one, I get why you say that. But your hope is this is the last one. And if you get the right quarterback, you're always one quarterback away, man. Always. Look at Buffalo. God, for most of my life, Buffalo was a laughingstock. Josh Allen shows up. They're in a couple divisional games, a couple AFC title games. They're knocking on the door every year. It just takes one. You just need the right guy. Sometimes it's the right coach. Rams, after what was the early 2000s, most of my lifetime, most of my childhood, laughingstock. The teams with Steven Jackson, Sam Bradford. Come on. They got it wrong at one, maybe, with Jared Goff. You get the right coach, get the right infrastructure. It's okay. There's hope for the Cardinals. I don't know if it's in 2026. But down the line, if you get the right quarterback, you get the right coach in the building, organizations can turn it around. It always happens. We see it every year. So they need hope if you're the Cardinals. And I think there's some hope to be taken away from this offseason. While there are some negatives, there are still some positives, and we can't forget that. Coming up next, Zach Gallen makes his first start of the year on opening day. And what was a tough start to the year before finishing strong. What can we expect from Zach Gallen in 2026? That's coming up next here on the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060.
Your weekend of college baseball starts right here on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils as they open up their series against West Virginia. Coach Willie Bloomquist is looking to start this series on the right foot with a win at Phoenix Municipal Stadium. Join the voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, on the call live. It's ASU versus West Virginia this Friday night. Pregame at 6:15 p.m. and first pitch at 6:35 right here on KDUS AM 1060. Online at KDUS1060.com and the KDUS app.
This ain't pop. This ain't pretty. This is Southern hospitality. The Black Crows, Whiskey Myers, blues-soaked guitars, outlaw swagger. Rock and roll the way it was meant to be. Loud, raw, and real. The Southern Hospitality Tour. The Black Crows, Whiskey Myers. Saturday, August 15th. Mortgage Matchup Center. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com.
Come see us at Mark Mazda Scottsdale off the 101 in Indian School. Right now, you can receive a 1.9% APR for 60 full months on some of Mazda's most popular models, like the 2026 Mazda CX-50 and CX-50 Hybrid.
Don't know what to do with your trade? We'll give you a minimum of $8,000 for any trade, no matter what shape it's in, as long as it runs based on the actual MSRP. And if $8,000 is a minimum, think what your good trading might be worth.
The name to remember? Mark Mazda. Mark Mazda. On a pre-credit plus $98.
Winning once, that's a good season. But building a streak, that takes showing up. Every call, every claim, every day. AAA Auto Insurance is ranked number 1 for auto insurance customer satisfaction in the Southwest by J.D. Power. 2 years in a row. And we don't take this repeat for granted, because trust isn't a given, it's earned. Join the millions of satisfied drivers who choose AAA Auto Insurance. Get a quote at AAA.com/quote. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit JDPower.com/awards.
Meineke's highly skilled and certified technicians always treat your car like it's their own. With over 50 years of experience, Meineke will diagnose and fix any issue with precision and care using the best state-of-the-art equipment. You can always depend on Meineke to do the job right and get you back on the road in no time. Save time and schedule an appointment now. Visit Meineke.com today. Trust your key with Meineke. Meineke, doing car care right.
Australia's Thunder from Down Under is back. The Most Wanted Tour hits Talking Stick Resort May 15th and 16th. 2 nights only. Don't miss the #1 girls' night out. 100% Australian and hotter than ever. Round up your crew and get ready for a night you won't forget. Thunder from Down Under, May 15th and 16th. Get your tickets now at TalkingStickResort.com.
Monument Valley? Check. Grand Canyon? Check. Sedona? Check. Camelback? Check. Think you've seen it all in Arizona? Well, if you haven't been fishing, you haven't seen a thing. From ponds and reservoirs to rivers and lakes, our state has no shortage of ways to cast a line for beginners and pros. And a fishing license is your passport to all of them. Get your license at azgfd.gov and discover a whole new way to see Arizona.
KDUS AM 1060 is your home for the Jim Rome Show.
Indiana is not cheating. Lining up and punching the other guy in the face for 60 minutes, not against the rules. I challenge any of you social media whistleblowers to tell Kurt Signetti to his face that he is a cheater.
The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, here on KDUS AM 1060. Online at KDUS1060.com and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back in to Thursday edition of the Lunch Break. My name's Evan Reiser, filling in for Chris Schubert. Chris a little sick today. Opening day. Gosh, comes with so much excitement, doesn't it, every year? As well as opening day does it in baseball. And I don't know what it is. I do not know what it is. But the start of 162, which you would think would be extremely lame, is fun every year. Even for non-baseball fans. Like opening day just carries a little bit of more weight. I don't know what it is. But for the D-backs, it is opening day in Dodger Stadium at the new Uniqlo Field at Dodger Stadium. And it will be Zach Gallen on the hill, 60 feet, 6 inches from facing a Dodgers lineup. And I caution this segment for myself and for those listening and for those out there that want to put a lot of stock into Zach Gallen's start tonight, because let's face it, this is, if not the best lineup in baseball, certainly a top 2. And if not the best team in baseball, certainly the second best. So this is the back-to-back World Series champion. This is the team with the largest payroll. This is the team that's going to be Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. I guess Kyle Tucker will hit 4th in that lineup. Just guessing. But that's what this lineup is, right? Like Will Smith, wherever you fit him in there. This is a gauntlet of an MLB lineup, and Zach Gallen's going to have to navigate him. You got to find 27 outs tonight if you're the D-backs, and where you find them is the question. So I don't know if you can put too much stock into what he does tonight, especially if he struggles. But if he is good, what can that mean for Zach Gallen? Last year was kind of the tale of two halves for him. And I mean, he was abysmal in the first half. He was terrible. A few good starts. He had the one early in the year in New York, if you remember that one. That was, gosh, I want to say maybe my 3rd show here on the program. It was very green here till lunch break when Zach Gallen struck out 13 in New York against the Yankees. But there was flashes of greatness early in the year. There was flashes of what we had seen from Zach Gallen in previous years. You just couldn't get it consistently in the first half. And then in the second half, he pitched to an under 3.4 ERA. And while not great, was very good. And so can he build on the end of last year and bring that into this year? And I think it starts tonight. I really do. Like, if he can manage this lineup and get through 5 innings tonight. And it doesn't have to be dominant. But it's actually the other way. When Zach doesn't have his best stuff, he gets hit around. That's just is what it is. Like, he doesn't have the stuff to get away with mistakes like some of the other guys in the league do. Paul Skeens, he was bad today, but Paul Skeens has the stuff that if he makes a mistake, he can kind of get away with it. Tarek Skubal, same thing. Zach Gallen isn't that pitcher. Right? He kind of fits into that. I always compare him to Aaron Nola in a lot of ways, who was really bad last year, but Aaron's the same way. Aaron's got a great curveball. He's a control guy. And if he misses with the heater, he gives up a lot of home runs on it. That's how I feel about Zach Gallen, right? Doesn't necessarily have the stuff to get away with mistakes. But on the days that he doesn't have even his best stuff, can he battle? I think that's going to be a huge question for the Diamondbacks. Because if Zach Gallen's going to be your ace this year, and I think there's a lot of questions of if he's still capable to getting back to what he was, in 21, in 2020, and that Zach Gallen, if they can get back to that, it's going to be in his ability to battle. Tonight's going to be a battle. Even if he has his best stuff, that Dodgers lineup is coming. And it's opening day, and they're putting up the Manor today, and they're doing all the World Series festivities. I'm sure they're going to have the back-to-back celebration. They're going to want to win really bad. Really bad as the banner's going up. So for the Diamondbacks, it's simple. For Zach Gallen, it's simple. How much can you battle against this lineup? Like I said, I don't think there's stock in if he gives up 4 runs tonight. But if it doesn't look great and he's getting around and we see, the bad body language we've seen before and we've seen these things snowball for him. If that continues on, then I think we have a real problem. Again, here is Zach Gallen. But can I get through 5 innings, 2-3 runs? And can that build confidence? Because I said it just a few minutes ago. Zach Gallen needs to be the ace for this baseball team to start the year. Merrill Kelly won't pitch and probably till the second series of the year. And even then, how many pitches can you get from him? We know we're not going to see Corbin Burns till July. The guy you went out and signed to the largest contract in Diamondbacks history. You're not going to see him until July. So I'm looking around. And I'm thinking, who could be the ace of this baseball team? And it has to be Zach Gallen for the beginning part. I said it in the open. We've said it on this show for weeks. It is a 60-game sprint for the Diamondbacks. Can I get to June in position, in striking distance? Zach Gallen may be one of the most important Diamondbacks to get there. If he has a start to the season like he had a first half last year, I can tell you they won't be there. I can confidently sit down and tell you they will not be in that position. But if he can battle, and if he can not even return to form of what he was 3 years ago, but if he can just be similar, yeah, I mean, I think I would be happy if I could see him get through the Dodgers first time through the lineup, no runs. If I can get 3 innings, 2 innings, no runs. Yeah, I would feel good. But it is that second time in the lineup. It is that second time through that they're going to see his stuff. The difference is with this game tonight, this isn't a team that hasn't seen Zach Gallen. Like, most of this lineup has seen him multiple times, so they know what to expect. But at the end of the day, if he can get us 5 innings, 1-2 runs, if you can get the little QS next to your name for a quality start, 6 innings, less than 3, or 3 or less than 4, I think you feel really good about what you got from Zach Gallen. I don't know what his pitch count is going to be tonight. I can't imagine seeing him work into 100-plus pitches. So if the Dodgers are able to work counts, we can see them get to the bullpen fast. But tonight for Zach Allen could be a huge confidence booster, could set the tone for what is the early part of the season and how important he is going to be until they get the reinforcements. Because we're going to get Merrill Kelly probably next series. But what is he honestly going to be? All those questions and more in the beginning part of this season. It's opening day, and I wanted to give you guys some of the picks I love today. So to end up our number one, we're going to do some of my MLB best bets. So stay with me here on the lunch break on KDUS AM 1060.
Every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. is MMA Friday on the Sports Zoo with official UFC ranker Scott Lewis, brought to you by RT O'Sullivan, your home for every UFC event. The Sports Zoo is the only show in the Valley that gives you 1 full hour of MMA every week, featuring Scott Lewis's official UFC ranking changes, fight predictions for every weekly event, shocking MMA stories, and more. So tune in every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. and then head to RT O'Sullivan's every Saturday to watch the fights. Go to RTOSullivans.com for a location near you.
A night you don't want to miss. Avenged Sevenfold. Good Charlotte. North America Tour 2026. Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater. August 27th. Avenged Sevenfold. Good Charlotte. An epic night of music. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Don't miss Avenged Sevenfold and Good Charlotte, part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Before Arizona heat turns unbearable, get your AC ready with Ace Cooling, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. Whether you need an AC tune-up, fast repair, or a new energy-efficient system, Ace helps keep your home cool, comfortable, and efficient all summer long. Beat the rush. Call Ace today at 602-536-4475 for free estimates and expert service. That's 602-536-4475. Or visit us online at acehomeaz.com. Acing Arizona's comfort needs since '94.
Ready to refresh your space for less? At Living Spaces, thoughtful design and direct sourcing keep prices low while quality stays high. With sofas starting at just $295, queen beds from $195, and dining sets from just $295. Updating every room is within reach. Plus, enjoy fast, free shipping as soon as next day. So your new favorites arrive without the wait. Your next piece is waiting only at Living Spaces.
Living Spaces. The Renaissance Festival is back. Weekends now through March 29th. Be ready to have a great time. Amazing adventure awaits the entire family. New shows, shopping, jousting nights, non-stop feasting. Leave your cares behind. Happiness reigns at the Renaissance Festival. It's fun and affordable. Visit now through March 29th. Discount tickets available at Bashas' and Food City or online at arizona.renfestinfo.com. Presented by Delta Airlines, Bashas', Food City, Pepsi, Budweiser, and Guinness. Huzzah!
It's the NASCAR Cup Series Cookout 400 at Martinsville Speedway.
The NASCAR Cup Series.
Green flag is flying. Here's Kyle Busch. He'll get the advantage on the outside lane.
Returns to Martinsville, Virginia.
Contact. Chastain. Alfredo. Austin Cindric crash and collide.
For a Sunday afternoon showdown at the Paperclip.
He'll make the move. They're crashing behind him. Elliott's in the wall. Checkered flag is out.
It's the Cookout 400.
This Sunday, 11:30 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS AM 1060 app.
It's Thursday, and it's opening day. It's a very baseball-heavy week, very baseball-heavy show. In hour number 2, I want to get into Torey Lovullo, and is this his last opening day? Talk about some of our picks, compare them to what some of the national media says out there about some of the teams we picked. And then obviously, apart from baseball, Sweet 16, we're back in action here in the tournament. We'll get into all of that in hour number 2. But to finish off hour number 1, it's opening day. And I know everybody wants to kind of bet the board here in baseball to start the season. And I got to tell you, 0 for 1 on my first one.
Wrong.
Was going to say the no-run first inning in Pittsburgh, New York.
Wrong.
7 runs in the first inning. It was a Brandon Lau 2-run home run before the Mets put up 5. There's been 2 more tacked on to that game total. It is a 6-3 Mets lead here in the bottom of the 4th inning. My second pick of the day in a game that's actually active was the Chicago White Sox, Milwaukee Brewers. It was the under 7.5. So far, we got 1 run in the bottom of the second. Chicago was able to push one across in the first against Jacob Mizorowski. But it's an offense that's going to be inconsistent and bad against a Brewers team with no Jackson Chourio today and with Mizorowski on the mound. So I loved the under in that one. Some other ones I like today. Let's take a look at Minnesota in Baltimore, starting here in about 15-ish minutes from now. Tyler O'Neill, an outfielder for the Baltimore Orioles, has homered in 9 straight opening days. You have to take him for a 10th. There's just nothing else you can do in this game. Tyler O'Neill to hit a home run today. By the way, he hit 11 last year. He's only plus 350. To give you an example, Byron Buxton, who hit almost 40. Pete Alonso, who hit 40 plus. Gunnar Henderson, who hit 30 plus. They're 300, 300, plus 350. Tyler O'Neill, plus 350. He hit 11. So it's not great value. Teams. So can he make it 10th? Can he make it an even double digits of straight opening days in which he has homered? By the way, I don't know how many people watched the Netflix game last night. Very funny scene for Barry Bonds, who I think is kind of good up there. I thought they had a good panel. I know they were catching some heat, but listen, you got a panel like that of that many legends. It's like in the NHL when they have Gretzky up there, like you have to have Bonds. You have to. But they asked him how many opening day home runs he had hit. He guessed 27. Maybe the answer was 6. It wasn't even close. Very funny scene out of that. Another pick I love today, Boston Red Sox at the Cincinnati Reds, and it's a hitter's ballpark, but we're in Cincinnati to start the season. It will be Garrett Crochet versus Andrew Abbott. And the Reds without Hunter Green, like I just don't know what they are. Yeah, they added Geno Suarez. They added some power to that lineup. They needed to be able to score more runs. But without Hunter Green, they're incomplete. Period. The end. That's the conversation. And so today I really like the Red Sox. It'll be Garrett Crochet and the Red Sox at minus 150. But I also love the under. The under is all the way up at 8. I could see this game ending 4-3. I know it's not going to be long starts for these starters, but I trust the Boston bullpen. I know in a save situation we're going to get Chapman. He's revived his career in Boston. I really like it. I really like what they got going on in Boston. I think the team's going to give up not a lot of runs this year. It's whether the lineup can hold up. So I love the under. Cincinnati struggled so bad offensively last year. And then I just like Boston, right? Like a team that I think can jump on Andrew Abbott and hold it with Garrett Crochet and Aroldis Chapman there at the end of the game. Next one, Los Angeles Angels, Houston Astros. A 110 start here in Houston. And it will be Soriano versus Hunter inning in this game. No run first inning. It's been a topic all of opening day. People love it. And it's a fun, quick little bet. It's 6 outs. That's all you're looking for. And a lot of people love it. The odds, given how the team scored in the first inning last year and how those pitchers were against the first inning last year, very high in that game. So that's another one I love. Phillies money line. And I know everybody's going to call me a homer. Everybody's going to say it. That's okay. I know I'm rocking the hat today. But the Phillies today take on the Texas Rangers at home. And while I think Texas has nice pieces, it's the pitching matchup for me. It's Christopher Sanchez versus Nate Eovaldi. And Nate Eovaldi, a guy who has struggled against some of the Phillies lineup. Kyle Schwarber has been pretty good against Nate Eovaldi. Bryce Harper has been good throughout his career against Eovaldi. And Christopher Sanchez looking to start what I believe could be a close to Cy Young campaign. He was great again in the WBC. He was fantastic last year, finished in the top 3 of Cy Young voting. And so all of those things add up to me to be a very good start for the Phillies. Hopefully they can get to 1-0. Last pick of the day. Actually, I got 2 more for you. The Diamondbacks over. No, I'm just kidding. Under 8.5. It's a high line. If you get a good start from Zach Gallen tonight, if you can get 6 innings, I don't see the Diamondbacks pushing many across on Yamamoto. It is a good offense for the D-backs, but I like the under in this one. Unders on opening day typically hit. That's typically how people do it, just because obviously the pitching matchups are so good. And for Zach Gallen, for Yoshinobu Yamamoto, gosh, really struggling. It's the double Ys that get you on that one. Always the double Ys that trip you up. But I like the under 8.5. It's the highest total of the day at 8.5. It makes a lot of sense given the D-backs bullpen. The Dodgers did a lot to bolster the back end of their bullpen this offseason. So I like the under in that one. And the last one, Cleveland Guardians at the Seattle Mariners. It'll be Tanner Bybee versus Logan Gilbert. And while both of these teams didn't do a ton this offseason, there's a reason why Seattle was 1 game away from the World Series. And I love what Logan Gilbert has been able to do. So I'm going to take Gilbert minus the 188. And I love everything that they did last year. And there's a reason Chris picked them to win the World Series this year. The pitching staff is great. And the offense should be better for the long term. Obviously, they brought in Josh Naylor and Gino Suarez at the trade deadline. Let Gino walk. He signed with Cincinnati, but they kept Josh Naylor. So I think the offense is going to be better. I know they struggle sometimes to score runs in Seattle. I don't see that as a major problem this year. So I love Seattle. And one of the last games of the day, A's Blue Jays. Love the over 8.5 in that one. Ton of picks today. It's opening day. Don't be afraid to look around, see what you got on the board, and make some picks. Hope everybody has a great opening day. Thanks for hanging out with us as we get into hour number 2. Question, Torey Lovello's last opening day as the D-backs manager? We'll get into all of that next here on the lunch break. KDUS, AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. If you're hurt in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, choose the attorneys at Sweet James. They help you navigate the legal process and pursue the compensation you may be entitled to. Free case review. Help available 24/7. Hablamos Español. 809-million. 809-million. SweetJames.com. This advertisement is paid for by Sweet James LLP. Responsible attorney, Bobby Tick-Heavy. Offices in California. No guarantee of results.
Motley Crue. The return of the Carnival of Sins. September 16th. Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater. The Crew celebrates the 20th anniversary of Carnival of Sins. Motley Crue, with performances by Tesla and Extreme. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Motley Crue, part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
If you've been disappointed by underachieving savings, a high-yield certificate from America First can be a fantastic way to help your money start doing more. Whether you're planning for an upcoming expense or just want to save smarter and earn bigger, America First's flexible certificates are an outstanding way to grow your cash. So don't wait to get your money working. Head to americafirst.com and open a high-yield certificate today. Membership eligibility, terms, conditions, and change apply. Fees could reduce account earnings. Federally insured by NCUA.
It's Truck Month at Tim Hovic's Santan Ford. F-150s, Lightnings, Super Duties. Right now, get 0 down, 0% financing for 60 months, and 0 payments for 90 days. That's a brand new Ford truck from Santan Ford with nothing out of pocket. Nobody in Arizona beats Tim Hovic on truck deals. Nobody. We've got the inventory, we've got the financing, and we're moving metal. Truck Month is on, and when they're gone, they're gone. Tim Hovic's Santan Ford in Gilbert or santanford.com. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
Try the Chicken Melt Trio at Port of Subs. Protein packed with bold sauces and built to crush cravings. Order now at portofsubs.com.
Slice fresh sandwiches, Port of Subs.
Your dental health affects your whole body's wellness. Got a broken tooth or need a crown? At Arizona Crown Center, you can expect care focused on crowns and bridges for just $6.99 per tooth, including your x-ray. That's less than half the usual cost. With Arizona Crown Center, expect top quality, efficient treatment backed by a 3-year unconditional guarantee, and even same-day service. They keep it simple and affordable, so you can enjoy the foods you love without worry. Plus, their friendly team makes every visit comfortable and easy. Whether it's your first crown or replacing an old one, they personalize your care to fit you. That's something to really smile about. Don't live with discomfort. Visit azcrowncenter.com for your free consultation today. Serving the Valley for over 20 years with offices in Chandler, Surprise, and Prescott. Get premium dental crowns and bridges at a price that fits your budget. azcrowncenter.com. That's azcrowncenter.com. Your smile's best friend.
Right now at Mark Kia, receive 0% APR for up to 72 months on the 2025 Kia EV6 with no hidden fees or unnecessary dealer add-ons.
The name to remember? Mark Kia. Mark Kia.
Offer through Kia Motors Finance. Expires March 31st, 2026.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Welcome back into the opening day version of the lunch break. No Chris Schubert today. My name's Evan Reiser, filling in for Chris. Yesterday, we did all of our Major League Baseball predictions. In hour number 2, I want to do that next segment. Compare those to what some of the experts say. First game's underway. And I got to tell you, this Mets-Pirates game went a very different way than what I thought it was going to be. I thought this would be a good baseball game simply because it's Freddie Peralta versus Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens puts out the shortest outing of his career. He pitches 2/3 of an inning, gives up the 5 runs. O'Neal Cruz had the worst inning in center field I had ever seen. And the Mets scored 5 on him. And that was after the Pirates went deep in the first inning to make it 2-0. And now we're at a 6-4 game here, and Brian Reynolds is up with a runner on third. So, I mean, listen, this game has become a 2-run game at 6-4 that I thought could end 3-1. So I got to tell you, very different game than I had expected, but still a very good game to watch, and there's plenty of those to go around. By the way, NBC back on baseball for the first time in years. And I got to tell you, the broadcast looks really nice. So happy with that. It's Matt Vasgersian on the call. And so far, so good in New York. Chicago White Sox and Chicago is playing. Who are they playing? Oh, the Brewers. They are playing the Brewers. They're underway. A couple innings into that one. And a whole boatload of games start here at 12:05. And then another bunch at 1:15. So a lot of baseball today. Let me know what you think of your team. Let me know what you think of the D-backs season. You can do that in the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel. You can watch the program over there. You can always give us a call. I appreciate if you do it during the break, though. 480-864-1060 is the number. You want to talk about anything we have talked about, would love to get you in and on the program. The big question, I think, for the D-backs is, will the bullpen hold up? How good is this offense going to be? Is Corbin Carroll's hamate injury going to bother him? But there's one that kind of has flown under the radar in the last couple months. The D-backs are still going into the season with a lame duck manager. Torey Lovullo is on the last year of his contract. And I think we all, me included, have thought there's been a lot of up and down with Torey Lovullo. And it hasn't been hard to see. In his years as the manager of the Diamondbacks, they've been to the postseason just a few times. He's won a manager of the year. They did go to the World Series when they won the NL back in 23. But we're talking about a guy who in 2017 through 2019 was able to go above 500, then went 3 straight seasons before the last 2 in 23 and 24, and then finished again below 500 last year. So on the last year of his deal, Torey Lovullo will enter the season with no extension. Is this really the last opening day we could see Torey Lovullo be the manager of the Diamondbacks? He's been a staple here. He's been the manager since 2017. Paul Goldschmidt was a key member under Torey Lovullo. That's how long he's been the manager. He went off. He won MVPs somewhere else. Almost had a return. But I asked this question because last time in 23, when his contract was up and it was going to be the end, he entered the season as a lame duck manager. And they got off to a hot start, and they addressed it. They signed the contract, and were able to give him a few-year extension. That ended up getting him to the World Series. That ended up making him the manager up until this year. So in the last year of his contract, after an 80 and 82 season, what does Torey Lovullo need to do to remain the manager of this baseball team? Because I think there's flaws in the roster, and I don't think those are Torey's fault. But the things that came out last year became a little strange, and none more strange than the Ketel Marte story. How committed is he to the baseball team? Are people really frustrated with his days off? Those are the questions. Is Torey putting his foot down enough? That became a question. When all of that came out, it didn't feel like Torey kind of came out and defended him. It took Geraldo Perdomo to come out and be the leader of this team and defend Ketel. Is there a number for you guys? I guess that's my question here. In the age-old debate, is there a number that Torey has to get to? Is there a feel? Because if the bullpen is terrible and it doesn't matter who you go to, I don't think that goes on to Torey. That falls on Mike Hazen. Because Mike Hazen has been great here, and I don't want to get too much on him, but this is a flawed roster, like through and through. And I think they made moves that I don't understand or necessarily agree with. So I have a lot of questions about the roster construction. But for Torey Lovullo, how important is this year? Is it managing Ketel and these personalities? Is it the deployment of the bullpen? Is it getting the best out of your starting rotation? Is it knowing when to use Ryan Waldschmidt, when to call him up? Because I think another knock on Torey Lovullo was the disaster that has been Jordan Lawler and his call-ups before the end of last year. The disaster in the early call-up for Jordan Lawler. I mean, it was... people probably think I'm exaggerating when I say disaster. It was a complete mismanagement. He needed to play every day. And if you weren't going to be able to play him every day, keep him down in Reno. He lost confidence, and he struggled because of it. So that was the first mistake. There was a mistake in Philadelphia. You used the wrong reliever. You gave up a game there. And then the stories came out about Ketel Marte. And it just didn't feel like Torey handled the situation as well as I thought he could have. And at that point, I thought it was time to move on. But after all of that, in September, they had a chance for a playoff spot late in the season. Code says, if we're lucky. And I think what he's referring to is this will be Torey Lovullo's last season. I got to tell you, when you walk around town, it does feel like people are ready to be done with Torey. I get it. Anybody who's been the manager for that long, I think you're just ready to move on from, right? Like that naturally, that's what happens. People get that feeling. People are excited to see the future, to move on. And I think that remains true. Like that, none of that is wrong with Torey Lovullo. None of that feeling is misplaced, especially with how last year went. And so I get it if you want him gone. But is that possible? Is that a reality? Because if this team does well in that first 60-game stretch, that first month that Code brought up, where their schedule is a gauntlet, if this team does well, they'll extend him. And they'll do it quickly. This deal could be done by the end of April. You see this team start 6 games over 500, I think you could see this extension signed. They like Torey. I think that's evidently clear by what they've done. They do not want to move on from Torey Lovullo because if they did, they would have had outs. They would have had outs last year with the Ketel Marte situation. They would have had outs after you 2 years ago went to the World Series, dumped more money into the team, didn't make the playoffs, did it again, still didn't make the playoffs. There's the out. For a small market team, that feels unacceptable. You need to get the most out of your manager as a small market team, as a team that isn't going to spend money. And they didn't. I think if they wanted out, they would have done it already because you had every excuse to move on. You've had every excuse. And I know what you're saying. Like, it didn't feel like he lost the locker room. Well, for 3 weeks, he did. And if you wanted to move on, you would have done it then. And so at the end of the year, when he kind of brought the locker room seemingly back together and they were able to do a nice job and stay competitive and win some games there at the end, I get it. Like, I understand why they didn't think moving on was the best thing for them. But I look at this baseball team, and I can't help but question, in Torey Lovullo's last year of his contract, are we actually willing to sign an extension and not move on from the manager that has brought them to the playoffs, 3 times? Twice? 2 of which before 2020. I get it. They went to the World Series. That's probably bought them a ton of time. But if they were a first-round exit, are we having the same conversation? And I guess that's the question, right? Well, they weren't. They went to the World Series. They got hot at the right time. I get it. He deployed the bullpen correctly then. The bullpen's been terrible since. And he hasn't gotten more out of him anywhere. Code over on the YouTube said, I'd rather have a winning team that root for them than root for them to lose just so they can move on from a manager I don't particularly care for. So I'm not actively rooting against the team. Look, I agree. Wholeheartedly agree. You should not root against this D-backs team because in the open, I said there's a lot of hope for this team. This team could win 88 games and be in the playoffs. Like, I think that is a very true scenario. And very honestly, in today's baseball, the way the playoffs are set up, you play a team with a bye, you get through that wild card round. I've seen bats fall asleep, right? Like Atlanta has had that problem when that thing first started. The Phillies have been terrible at it. Like, there are teams, take the Dodgers when you played them, when you went to the World Series. Like, those bats fell asleep. They were the best team for 162 games and were terrible in that series. So, yeah, I get it. I'm rooting for this team too. I don't particularly care for the manager. I think he makes wrong moves. I don't know if he has a full grip on this locker room. I question a lot of those major concerns. But I'm with Code. Don't root against him because you don't like the manager. I know you find yourself doing that sometimes. I know I find myself doing that because, let's face it, I'm not the biggest Nick Sirianni fan in the world as an Eagles guy. And I can find myself like, come on. But I'm never rooting against them. Never rooting against the Eagles. I think it's the same thing with the D-backs. You might not be a Tory fan, but you would rather have a winning team. This team has a chance to be good this year. There's a lot of what ifs, but they have a chance to be good. So I get it. I totally get it. We motor on in hour number 2 of the program on opening day. Yesterday, Chris and I went through the National League, the American League. We made our playoff team predictions, our MVP predictions. We did it all. And I went around, saw ESPN, saw The Athletic, all posted their predictions. How do ours compare? We'll do that next here on the lunch break on KDUS AM 1060.
Every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. is MMA Friday on the Sports Zoo with official UFC ranker Scott Lewis, brought to you by RT O'Sullivan's, your home for every UFC event. The Sports Zoo is the only show in the Valley that gives you 1 full hour of MMA every week, featuring Scott Lewis's official UFC ranking changes, fight predictions for every weekly event, shocking MMA stories, and more. So tune in every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. and then head to RT O'Sullivan's every Saturday to watch the fights. Go to RTO'Sullivans.com for a location near you.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial pound law.
Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Arizona lawyer will handle Arizona cases. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
The Avett Brothers and Mike Patton present Avett Patton Performing Live at Arizona Financial Theater, May 12th. Avett Patton. On sale now at livenation.com.
Make a precision decision with Precision Air.
Hello, everybody. Eric Bryan.
And Gina Bryan.
Owners of Precision Air and Plumbing.
Hey, Eric, let's talk about a word that gets thrown around a lot. Local.
We hear it all the time. Locally owned. Here's the thing. A lot of companies say they're local, but the reality is many of them aren't anymore.
They've been bought out by out-of-state companies, and when that happens, priorities change, homes turn into numbers, and people turn into profit goals.
We take pride in the fact that Precision is family-owned and still locally run for over 30 years.
We're not just talking about business. We're talking about our name, our family, our reputation.
And we'll be here long after the job is done. That's Precision Air and Plumbing. Make the precision decision today with Precision Air. Call 602-FIX-MY-AC. That's 602-FIX-MY-AC. Or go to precisionairandplumbing.com.
Make a precision decision with Precision Air.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. By the time March Madness reaches the Sweet 16, something strange tends to happen. The same chaos we beg for suddenly feels inconvenient. Cinderella's a great story until the bracket thins out, and then we want the blue bloods. We saw it a year ago, and outrage flipped. Not enough madness. Oh, the number 1 seeds rolled into the Final Four. Luckily, Thursday's slate will offer a dish for whatever you may be in the mood for. Iowa and Texas are major underdogs, and it gets even better when you have Nebraska against the Hawkeyes. Then come the heavyweights. Arizona, Houston, Purdue, all 3 programs built to be here on a yearly basis.
And for those chasing star power, John Calipari and Darius Acuff at Arkansas bring their own spotlight. The tournament is supposed to feel like this. Rivalries, underdogs, stars, big brands. It gives you exactly what you expected in a Sweet 16. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. 2 words, prostate exam. Relax. Screening starts with a simple finger-free blood test. Around 1 in 8 men in the United States will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. Prostate cancer can have over a 99% 5-year relative survival rate when caught at a localized or regional stage. If you're 40 or over and have a prostate, visit relaxitsabloodtest.com to see if a PSA blood test is right for you. Talk to your doctor about screening and the next steps. Sponsored by Novartis. Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it really easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Goodyear tires. Go to TireRack.com/Dan. See their Goodyear test results, tire ratings, and reviews. Be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com. The way tire buying should be.
KDUS AM 1060 is your home for the Jim Rome Show.
I'm not here to bury Mike Tomlin, but the fact is, this absolutely is the right move. He did the right thing, and he fired himself. All good things come to an end. Going a decade without winning a single playoff game is not meeting the standard.
The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, here on KDUS AM 1060. Online at KDUS1060.com and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back. The opening day edition of the lunch break on KDUS AM 1060. Give us a call, 480-864-1060. Head over to the YouTube channel, KDUS AM 1060. You can chat with us there. You can also listen to the program on the free KDUS AM 1060 app. You can do it all. Wherever you're at, you can always listen to the program. Yesterday, if you were listening, you did hear Chris and I go through all of our predictions for the MLB season. And we started it. We went 1 through 5 in each division. We did the old who's going to win the NL, who's going to win the AL. We broke it all down. And today I want to compare them to what I've seen from around the league and around the experts, right? Because it's that time of year. It's opening day. Everybody's doing their predictions. And so I wanted to get into it. Jeff Passan wrote a story on ESPN. Obviously, we all know Jeff Passan. And he broke it down into tiers. And so I think that that's kind of an interesting place to start because he has the Dodgers in a tier of their own. It's known as the reigning champs tier, standalone, obviously, with a prediction record of 102-60. The biggest threats to LA's throne, the Seattle Mariners, 90-72. The New York Yankees, 89-73. Toronto Blue Jays, 88-74. The Philadelphia Phillies, 90-72. The New York Mets, 92-70. The Chicago Cubs, 89-73. All of those teams are interesting because all of those teams were in our playoff scenario. Now, where it doesn't line up for Chris is Chris had the Brewers. And is he higher on the Brewers than most? I think so. I think it was an interesting offseason for the Milwaukee Brewers and everything they did. Obviously, Freddie Peralta's gone, their number one pitcher. We both had the Mets winning the division, which it seems like they do. We both had the Phillies finishing second, which feels like they do. And we both had LA winning the West. Seattle, we both had winning the West. The New York Yankees and Toronto Blue Jays, and we both had the Blue Jays hanging on in the East, but I think we forget, and Jeff Passan tweeted this yesterday, just how good that Yankees offense is. Because they were the number one scoring offense in all of baseball last year. They scored more runs than anybody. They were really the best team in baseball from an offensive standpoint. And where they struggled was out in the field. And I'm not saying that they've done a lot to clear that up. But what I am saying is they're still going to be formidable. And they could still win that division. And they got off to a great start last night. A 7-0 win in San Francisco. The Yankees are off to a hot start. But then you find the D-backs here on this ESPN list. Ranked 19th, 81 and 81. That's it, right? Like all of these teams see the Diamondbacks as a mid-level team. Chris had them as the last team in the National League, not the second to last. The last team in the National League, the last wild card spot. And I just don't really think that 81 and 81 is going to be what gets them there. Actually, don't think. I know 81 and 81 won't get them to the last wild card spot. That article had them at a 30% chance to make the playoffs. I think that's fair. I think you could see it 35-40. What do they need to do? How many games do they need to win? Is it 84 and 78? Is it more than that? Do they need to win 85 plus games to be considered a wild card team? And circling back to what I talked about last segment, does Torey Lovello need them to be a wild card team, right? Like, does he need them to be in the wild card conversation to stay as the manager of this organization, as the manager of this baseball team? So the predictions we made yesterday, and we can go through them all because I have them, and so we will. We saw the league very similarly, but for the Diamondbacks, my MVP, Geraldo Perdomo. Can you get the same out of him? Ryan Waldschmidt, can he come out and be the rookie of the year that this team really needs him to be? Can Ryan Nelson continue the success he had? Can Zach Gallen be an actual ace for this team for the first time in years? Like, be a real ace for this team. Not somebody who gives you a great start here and there, but a consistent, every fifth day, he's our win guy. Can Juan Murillo be a piece in the bullpen? Can Jonathan Loaizica be a piece in the bullpen? Because those national media sites look at this baseball team and they see the same things we do. They see a flawed bullpen, a not great pitching staff, a team that's going to have their success mostly tied to the lineup, a team that's going to have to be carried by the offensive output, especially early in the season. And they look at them at 81 and 81. So then I thought, well, how many wins do they actually need? If 81 and 81 is what we think the baseline is, can you win 4 more games than you're supposed to? When you break it down like that, it becomes a lot easier in your mind. If you're supposed to go 81 and 81, that's what the experts think. Can you win 4 more games than you're supposed to? Can 85 wins get you into the postseason? You just got to get in. Just got to get into the dance, because 3 years ago, you got into the dance. You were in the World Series. You beat the Brewers. You beat the Dodgers. You beat the Phillies. You came up short against the Texas Rangers in the World Series. Sometimes in baseball, getting in is all it takes. So for the for the D-backs, can they win 4 more games than they're expecting? Chris and I looked at this team. I said one spot outside the playoffs. Chris says last spot in. Hope has been our theme today. Hope for the D-backs. Those two predictions give you hope. How many games can you win over expected? Only has to be a few. And then we can talk about a team that is seriously competing for a chance to go to the playoffs. And once you're in, you're in. That wild card series, you get a great year from Zach Allen. If you could get solid innings from Corbin Burns, if you can find a closer. I know those are a lot what ifs. But Corbin Burns, if he can come back and give you, 80% of the pitcher he is, you feel great about that. Merrill Kelly, he's going to be healthy at some point. You hope he returns to form. If Zach Allen's the Zach Allen from the second half last year. You're going to get Justin Martinez back. How healthy can he be? Can he give you high leverage innings at the end of September? Bunch of questions, bunch of what ifs. How long is this lineup going to be? Right? Like, can you get the Carlos Santanas, the Jordan Lawlers, the Nolan Arenados to be productive? A lot of what ifs for the team. I think a lot of people see this team specifically in the way we do. It's not like the Cardinals where we think they've had one of the worst offseason and the league doesn't see it that way. It's very different. Everybody kind of sees this team in the same light. Their holes are out in the open. Their strengths are out in the open. People can see them. And it's what are you betting on more? And for me, I'm going to choose to bet on the D-back strengths. Because run production is going to be important for this baseball team. It's going to be the catalyst of what carries them, especially early in the season. Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo, what can you get it from the rest of the lineup? That's the question. So there it is. We see the league, but specifically we see the Diamondbacks in a very similar way. There isn't that mismatch of how we see the Cardinals and how maybe the experts see the Cardinals. I think everybody sees the D-backs in the same way. Can they overperform? That'll be the question for them. We got two more before we hand it off to Jim Rome at the top of the hour. The tournament is back today. It's the Sweet 16. U of A back in action, as well as a bunch more games. We're going to break them all down next. Tell you what I think of them here on the lunch break on KDUS AM 1060.
Join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Beerstein.
People that haven't watched college basketball would say that there was no real Cinderella team. It's Iowa. You know why? Because Iowa isn't even Iowa. They're the Drake Bulldogs, the 30-plus win team. They were coached by Ben McCullum. And McCullum got a job this year as the Iowa head coach. And you know what Ben McCullum did? He brought over 5 guys from Drake. 4 leading scorers or top 3 scorers are from Drake. Iowa is your Cinderella story.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m.
What if you had to skip breakfast and lunch and dinner? At St. Mary's Food Bank, that's a reality for many of our neighbors in need. 250,000 people rely on the food bank every day. Your donations are what makes feeding them possible. Donate and get a dollar for dollar Arizona charitable tax credit, up to $495 for individuals and $987 for couples filing jointly. Learn more at stmarysfoodbank.org.
It's the spectacular return of Bruce Springsteen and the legendary E Street Band. Land of Hope and Dreams American Tour. Live at Mortgage Matchup Center, April 16th. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. An unforgettable night with Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. For more, visit BruceSpringsteen.net.
Hi, this is Jan from Toyota. You're currently listening to my new meditation guide called Meditating with Jan from Toyota. Take a moment to find a comfortable position. Now soften your focus and visualize yourself off-roading in a rugged new Tacoma. Now, take a deep breath in. Not too deep because that's patchouli you're smelling, and imagine taking a Corolla Cross to a music festival. Next, picture a bright light ahead. You're hitting the town in a sleek new Camry. Now engage your senses. What do you hear? A donkey. That's what you heard because you're in a farm sanctuary now in a spacious new Grand Highlander. When you're ready, Take a final deep breath in and go from dreaming it to driving it today. That's Jan's meditation.
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends March 31st. Toyota, let's go places.
What would you do if you could multiply your cash? Would you multiply your vacations? Multiply your relaxation? Or multiply your celebrations? With multiplier scratchers from the Arizona Lottery, you can multiply all the good things like vacations, relaxation, and celebrations. Play multiplier scratchers for over $270 million in prizes and multiply your fun. Arizona Lottery. Love the play.
This is Arizona's biggest name in gaming. Whether it's the brilliantly brand new White Tanks or the always spectacular West Valley right down the street, we've got you covered with the hottest slots and tables, state-of-the-art sports book, dazzling dining like the legendary Morton's Steakhouse, entertainment, and more. The brand new Desert Diamond White Tanks and Desert Diamond West Valley.
An enterprise of the Tohono O'odham Nation.
Your weekend of college baseball starts right here on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils as they open up their series against West Virginia. Coach Willie Bloomquist is looking to start this series on the right foot with a win at Phoenix Municipal Stadium. Join the voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, on the call live. It's ASU versus West Virginia this Friday night. Pregame at 6:15 p.m. and first pitch at 6:35 right here on KDUS AM 1060. Online at KDUS1060.com and the KDUS app.
Welcome back in to the Thursday edition of the Lunch Break. Not only opening day, but the tournament is back. The tournament is back, and we have the Sweet 16 kicking off tonight. And it's a boatload of good games. So we will get into all of them. And it starts at 4:10 local time, 7:10 East Coast. And the 11 seed Texas will take on the 2 seed Purdue. Purdue, 8.5-point favorites. And this is an interesting one because Texas really looked really good against Gonzaga. And obviously, you have to look really good to beat a team like Gonzaga and a 3 seed. But they're playing really good basketball right now. They took a few days off, obviously, this week. Same with Purdue. And now they'll play Purdue in the Sweet 16. And I love Texas plus the 8.5. I don't think Texas has the guns to win this basketball game. I don't see them playing with Purdue all the way until the end. And so for me, I like Purdue to move on into the Elite Eight. That will start the Thursday night slate. These are all great games and some interesting ones here next at 4:30. Love that these are staggered, by the way, the first two by like 20 minutes, and then the second two also staggered by 20 minutes. The second one, Iowa versus Nebraska. The 9 seed, Iowa, which I'm sure you hear from Rooster every day, is the underdog story of the tournament, the Cinderella run, is the word I was looking for there, of the tournament, right? It's a lot of Drake Bulldogs on the Iowa roster. They're a 9 seed. They fought their way through Florida in the round of 32, get to the Sweet 16, and they play Nebraska, who is another fantastic story. Until last week, Nebraska had never won a tournament game. Now they're playing for a chance to get to the Elite Eight, and they get to do it in the South region. They play in Houston, Texas tonight. Iowa versus Nebraska to punch their ticket. Whoever comes out of that game is an awesome, awesome story. And so far, if you were asking me to pick, I like the Cinderella run there. I like Iowa plus the 1.5, but it's only a 1.5-point spread. Nebraska has been great so far, so should be a really fun game starting at 4:30. It isn't too long after, just 2 hours after that, Arkansas will tip off against the University of Arizona. U of A looking to get to the Elite Eight, looking to get to the Final Four for the first time in the 2000s. Final Four, first time in the 2000s they are looking to do it, and it's all code. Says the Houston versus Illinois game should be a real good one tonight. Really looking forward to start that one. That is the last game of the night, a 7:05 start in the Illinois-Houston game. The 3-2 matchup, awesome. Houston, a 2.5-point favorite. Illinois has looked great. Houston has been really good to this point. And the U of A game, Code said it's going to be good. Arizona's an 8.5-point favorite. I don't know how you can watch Arkansas to this point and not love what Darius Acuff is doing. What Arkansas has been able to do is pretty impressive. Obviously, John Calipari, they are a 4 seed. Obviously, they fought off 2 games to get to this point. But Darius Acuff, the freshman on Arkansas, to me, watch him play. And I know Cam Boozer is the popular pick to be the best player in college basketball. I understand it for good reason. Duke is very good, and he's their best player, and there's no doubt about it. But there's nobody more electrifying than watching Darius Acuff. And do I think that ASU guy, unfortunately, but do I think that U of A will have the horses to end up winning this game? I do. I think they'll be able to eventually bear down on Acuff and stop the one player, and then Arkansas will struggle, and U of A will eventually pull ahead. The 8.5-point spread in this game, though, has to go Arkansas's way, if you ask me. 8.5-point favorites is U of A versus the best team or the best player in the country. Don't be surprised if Acuff plays really well tonight and is able to propel Arkansas past the University of Arizona. But this is their best chance. This is the U of A's season. This is their season to get over the hump. This is their year. This is the best team they've had. All of that is true. Can they get to the Elite Eight? Can they get to their first Final Four in years? I think first Final Four since I've been alive. On Friday, starts at the same time, and the first one, St. John's versus Duke. And I got to tell you, I can't get enough of this St. John's team. I can't get enough of them. Duke had that scare against Siena before blowing out TCU in the second round. St. John's has been fun to watch. And you watch that game that they had, and you hear Rick Pitino talk about going to a guy who calls power, calls his own number to have his own last shot. That's the confidence I like to see in my basketball team. I like St. John's in this one. Duke 6.5-point favorites. St. John's has started games fast, and I really think they'll continue to do so. So for me, I really like St. John's plus the points, but I kind of like a money line in that Friday matchup. Continuing on Friday, Alabama will take on Michigan. Michigan has been a dominant force so far. They are 8.5-point favorites taking on Alabama. I don't know what to think about this game. I really like the way Michigan is playing right now. Obviously, they have what will seemingly be the home court advantage in Chicago. You know, I think St. John's will have it. By the way, that game's in Washington, D.C. And then Michigan State, UConn will be one of the later games on Friday. Michigan State, the 3 seed, UConn, the 2 seed. Connecticut, a 1.5-point favorite. As a Big East guy, I'm taking UConn. Because of that, and I always think Izzo gets through the first 2 rounds pretty seamlessly. But in my lifetime, it just doesn't feel like that deep run is in Michigan State like it is in UConn. And I just, coming down to 2 Hall of Fame legendary basketball coaches, give me Danny Hurley. That's really what it comes down to for me. Give me Danny Hurley in today's scene of college basketball. Last game, Iowa State hosting Tennessee in Chicago. man, how do you not love what Iowa State has done? I feel like they have been maybe the most impressive team in the tournament. Like them or Michigan for me have been so good, and I love what they're doing. So I'm taking Iowa State. I think they have a Final Four run in them. I think Michigan could win out. There are plenty of good teams left. There's going to be a ton of good games today and tomorrow, and it starts tonight, 4:10 local time. Texas will tip it off against Purdue, and then you have 8 games for a chance to get to the Elite 8. That will be Saturday and Sunday. A fun weekend of college basketball, baseball starting. What a good underrated weekend for sports. And then next weekend, it gets even better. So it continues on. It's the Elite 8, and it starts tonight. All of the basketball, all of the baseball coming up on your slate. We got one more before we hand it off to Jim Rome at the top of the hour. It's all the stories we didn't get to. We call it the leftover. And it's next here on the lunch break on KDUS AM 1060.
KDUS AM 1060. The Jim Rome Show.
Indiana is not cheating. Lining up and punching the other guy in the face for 60 minutes, not against the rules. I challenge any of you social media whistleblowers to tell Kurt Signetti to his face that he is a cheater.
The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, here on KDUS AM 1060. Online at KDUS1060.com and on the KDUS 1060 app.
The Gorillas, live in Phoenix. The Mountain Tour 2026. Performing at Mortgage Matchup Center, Friday, October 23rd. With special guests, Little Sims and Deltron 3030. Get ready to feel good all over again. The new album, The Mountain, is out now. Get tickets now at livenation.com.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help that often requires only simple maintenance. However, if left untreated, could lead to costly repairs. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage door is noisy, if bugs are getting in, or if it struggles to open, your garage door is in need of repair. From simple repairs to upgrades, it's A1 from day one. We fix garage doors fast and with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Our springs, rollers, and openers are tested by running them up and down, open and closed, all day, 24/7, so you can feel confident with every A1 garage door repair. Replacing the bottom rubber on your garage door can have a huge impact on the number of bugs you see in your garage and in your home. Keep those creepy crawlers outside by calling A1 Garage Door Service today and receive the best service, best parts, and best warranty in the industry.
A1Garage.com. A1 from day one.
Call today and take advantage of our $29.95 tune-up special.
Hello, everybody. Eric Bryan.
And Gina Bryan.
Owners of Precision Air and Plumbing.
When we talk about precision, we're not just talking about business. We're talking about our name and reputation.
A lot of companies claim they're local, but they're not. They've been bought out, answering to shareholders.
Homes turn into numbers and priorities turn into profits, not customers.
Not here. We'll be here long after the job is done. Make the precision decision. Call 602-FIX-MY-AC.
Make a precision decision with Precision Air.
Every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. is MMA Friday on the Sports Zoo with official UFC ranker Scott Lewis, brought to you by RTO Sullivan's, your home for every UFC event. The Sports Zoo is the only show in the Valley that gives you 1 full hour of MMA every week, featuring Scott Lewis's official UFC ranking changes, fight predictions for every weekly event, shocking MMA stories, and more. So tune in every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. and then head to RTO Sullivan's every Saturday to watch the fights. Go to RTOSullivans.com for a location near you.
So our last segment. Welcome back into the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Thanks to everybody for hanging out with us on today's program. And it's been a lot of baseball, and rightfully so. MLB games fully underway. We'll give you an update here as we look at them. It started with Pirates-Mets. Pirates scored 2 in the first, but the Mets jumped on them offensively. It's now 11-5 Mets in the top of the 7th. The Brewers fell down 1-0 before pouring 6 on. It's 6-1 Brewers in the 5th. In the end of the 4th, a surprise high-scoring game, if you ask me. But Chicago down 7-3 to the Nationals. The Twins and Orioles deadlocked at 0 in the top of the 3rd. And starting in a few minutes, you got Red Sox, Reds. You got Rangers, Phillies, Angels, Astros, Tigers, Padres, and Rays, Cardinals. Before the D-backs are underway tonight at 5:30 p.m. Zach Gallen versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and then it'll finish at 7:10 local time. Tanner Bybee will take on Logan Gilbert in Seattle in Guardians Mariners. So a great first day of baseball. Well, second day, because technically it started last night. Kind of an interesting story today. Kind of one that caught me off guard was the news out of Cleveland that Myles Garrett will seemingly restructure with the Cleveland Browns. And so I want to read you this article and kind of break it down on what I think about it, because when I saw a restructure, I think there's two ways to look at it. There's the restructure to trade him, which I think would be a very interesting move. You restructure, you make sure teams aren't taking on that contract, and then you move him. Or you restructure so you keep him in the building. You don't have to spend that kind of money on him. What was it? Like, what was the intent of this restructure? So that's what we're going to try and find out here. Garrett's contract previously called for his option bonuses in 2026, 2027, and 2028 to be exercised by the 15th day of the league year. March 25th is the 15th day of 2026 league year. It's in the amended terms. That date has been pushed back to 7 days before the regular season each year. The payment of the option bonuses was also modified in a way that has benefit to Garrett. Additionally, Garrett has $8 million of his base salary in 2029 and 2030 move into roster bonuses early in each year. The modifications have benefits to the team, as Cleveland now has more flexibility to create cap space in each year. And Garrett benefits with the modified option payment. Garrett agreed to a 4-year contract extension last March, ending a standoff with the Browns that started in February of last year when he requested a trade out of Cleveland. If you ask me, this is the kind of restructure that keeps him in Cleveland. And I have to wonder why. I just don't get it anymore. When you requested a trade out, if you're Myles Garrett, why not leave? Why not get out of town? Instead, you are now in a position where you're going to be stuck as a Cleveland Brown for the rest of your career. And can they compete? Is Todd Monken going to be the guy that's going to get them over the hump? They have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. I don't like any of them. And I don't know. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they can do. Yeah, moving this contract around saves cap space, but it doesn't make sense truly for the organization just to have him on the roster. Well, having a great edge rusher is one of the first pieces you need to compete. I get it. Is that really where the money needs to be spent on one player? Myles Garrett is the best edge rusher in football. I don't think it's particularly close. I don't know if there's a guy I would rather have, period. It makes sense for the Cleveland Browns. They need so much. And you see this restructure, and I'm just confused by it. Yeah, from what we read, it helps both parties. But I'm just confused on why Myles Garrett would agree to this and continue to want to play in Cleveland. He may love Cleveland. He may love the organization. But I don't think he's ever going to win there. We're going to see the best edge rusher of my generation go his entire career and play in 2-3 playoff games. 2? Made it once with Baker. Is that it? Trying to think if they made it again. They had the divisional win, the wild card win and the divisional appearance. I don't know if they win again. The greatest edge rusher of my generation will have 1 playoff appearance. I can tell you that team is not going to playoffs in the next 3 years unless they, as Code has lovingly given us all these Simp for Simpson. Atrocious for Arch. Mope for Manning. Suck for Sam. Lose for Levitt. Whatever you want to do with that one. Like all these terms. But in all honesty, is he ever going to play in another playoff game? Is he ever going to win in Cleveland? Doesn't feel like it. So I'm confused by the restructure. I don't get it at all. A guy we've talked about quite a bit here on the program, and a story we kind of discussed the other day with Dan Orlovsky. And he talked about specifically what he thinks of Ty Simpson and how he would take him over Fernando Mendoza. Or, wrong, he would rather take Ty Simpson in the middle of the first round than to take our guy, Fernando Mendoza, at number one, like the Raiders are going to do. And it spurred a lot of conversation here on the show because we asked the question, what does that mean for the Cardinals? Can they trade back? Can they trade back in? But then he continued on. And today on the Pat McAfee show, he talked with Pat and the guys and said, Ty Simpson, without a doubt, is a first-round pick. Absolutely a first-round pick. And this is changing day to day because it wasn't long before last week that we were having conversations, would you take Ty Simpson in the second round? I mean, I did a full week of shows here where we discussed taking Ty Simpson in the second round and taking a flyer on it, doing the Jackson Dart. I just don't know if any of that is possible. The Cardinals draft plans have changed tremendously in the last few days, strictly because of Dan Orlovsky and how he looks at Ty Simpson. I think you now have to pick in the top 15, and I wouldn't take him at 3. And I guess my question becomes, are the Cardinals interested in taking him at 3? There are so many questions about what you should do with Ty Simpson. But as of today, Dan Orlovsky not only thinks he would rather take him in the middle of the first round than take Fernando Mendoza at 1, but he thinks there is no question about it. The way the league looks at Ty Simpson, he is a first-round pick, no question about that, but a middle first-round pick. Is the trade up like the Giants did for Jackson Dart, is that even out of the picture? I guess that's the question. The plans continue to change for the Cardinals. And change. That's the name of the game for them this year. So, Ty Simpson, I have no idea where he's going to go. It's going to be fun to watch. And could we see another quarterback get drafted? Yeah, the Garrett Nussmeyers of the world, the Drew Allers of the world. That's going to be the question for the Cardinals. Can they take a flyer on somebody else? A lot of news with the Cardinals. A ton of news. And I think the league, we talked about it earlier, looks at their offseason way differently than we do. I don't know if they're ready for a young quarterback this year. He may sit behind Jacoby Brissett. But they're certainly going to take one. And it's probably going to be Monty Ossenfort who makes that decision. Well, that's it for the Thursday edition of the Lunch Break. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. Hope everybody enjoys their opening day. Hopes everybody enjoys the first D-backs game of the year in Dodger Stadium. We will talk to you guys tomorrow here on the Lunch Break on KDUS AM 1060. Peace out.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.